This video is going to introduce us to something called measures of central tendency. So, measures of central tendency is a fancy term for some concepts that you have learned in previous classes. Um, and it's just kind of a catch all term. And these particular topics are those of mean, median, and mode. So I'd actually like to start by talking about median. So when I think of the word median, I think of maybe we have something like this. Okay. So kind of looks like a road, like a a highway. And when we are driving, the median is right here, and it is in the middle. So that is kind of just the basic definition of median. Median is the number in the middle. Now, it's very, very important, though, to think about this because if we say, let's say that our data is this, okay? Let's say that we have 4, 7, 8, 3, and 2. Well, when we look at this set of data, the median is not 8. Even though median is the number in the middle, it is the number in the middle only when the data is in order. And what kind of order? Small to large. Okay, so we would need to rewrite this data as 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. And at this point, the median is now in the middle because our data is in order from smallest to largest. The next one that I'd like to talk about is mode. Mode rhymes with most. So the mode is the data value that appears most frequently. Okay, so in the data set that we started with here, there is no mode. But what if I did this? What if I added, what if I added another 2 and a 9? Well, now our median stays the same, it hasn't changed. But now the mode, the data that occurs the most frequently is 2. So the mode is 2. And this is the median. So that is median and mode. And I did those two first just because median and mode, honestly, they are the easiest ones to calculate. It's, it's not that bad. Okay? So now let's talk about mean. And yes, that is my angry mean face. Okay? Kind of crazy, but um mean. Just mean. Like why would we ever want to do this? Well, because mean is the same as average. And I lean into the word mean because mean is the one that involves the most calculations. So it's the hardest one to calculate. So when we have our data set here, okay, in order to find the mean, we are going to add all of our data and then divide by the number of data points we have. And in this case, it's 7. Okay. I'm actually going to work out the number for this in another example coming up here. But just for now, that's what we're looking at: mean, median, and mode. Okay. So let's look at an example of finding all of these from a data set. So let's say that we have the data set. It might be easier for me to type this in. Let's say that we have the data set 22, 25, 23, 26, 23, 21, 24, and 23. Okay, so there's our data set. Well, now recall the first thing that we want to do. Okay, so step 1, before you do anything, step 1, write in order from smallest to largest. Okay, so we're going to have 21 and then 22. And you see, I like to kind of mark them off a little bit. 23. And I've got another 23. And yet another 23. Because see, then I can tell which ones I've used and which ones I haven't. 24, 25, and 26. Okay, so now step 2 is to find the mean, median, and mode. Okay. Well, again, median's pretty easy. So is mode. Remember that mode the most? Well, we can see here that we've got these three values that are all 23. So that's clearly 23. Okay. Now, if we want to find the median, we need to find the middle. Okay. So to find the middle, I eliminate those. Then I eliminate these. See how I'm doing matching pairs on either side. Okay. And now what I'm left with are these two values here, because remember that median is in the middle. Okay. Now, when we have two values that are in the middle, we need to find whatever number is right in between them. Okay. Now, this is really easy because both of them are the same number. So 23 is going to be our answer. But let's pretend like they're not. So in order to find this, you're going to take these two numbers and average them. And that gives you the median. Okay? And finally, let's find the mean or the average. Okay? So in order to do this, we are going to take all of our data points. So we're going to take 21 and 22 and 23 and 23 and 23 again, 24, 25, and 26. And we are going to add all of those up and divide that total by how many data points we have. And in this case, we have 8 data points. And when you do that, you get a mean of 23.4. Okay. So next we are going to talk about grouped frequency distributions. Okay, so let's get into grouped frequency distributions. Now, this is used when we have a large set of data and we just need an approximate value. So what if our task was to find the mean of this data set? Well, who really wants to add up all of these values and then divide by the number of values? Like, even if we have a calculator, that's a lot, okay? So what we can do, though, is set up what is called a frequency distribution table, okay? So the first thing, I'll come back here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to be told how big each class needs to be. And a class is just like the set of values. So we're going to say that our class size is going to be 10. So our first class is going to go from 10 to 19, then from 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and 70 to 79. Okay? So these are our classes. And what we're going to start out by doing is we are going to see how many of these data points are in each one of these sections. So our first one, 19. Well, that's in our first group. That's in the group 10 to 19. Then we have 27. That's in this group. So I'm just putting a tally mark in there. 56 goes down here in the group from 50 to 59. 37. Where would 37 fall? 37 would fall here in between 30 and 39. 61. And we are going to do this for every data value. So 42. There's 39 again. 53. 73. 46. 30. 48. 59. 26. 45. 39 again. 21. 33. 30. 37. 16. 25. 15. 24. 13. 23. 41. 34. 27. 56. 32. 45. 17. 31. 46. 16. 30. 32. 63. And 24. Okay, so that is all of our data points. And so now we've got them kind of organized. So we can see now that we extend our lines here. And we can see that here there are 6 data values in that group. There are 8 data values in that group. There are 12 values in that group, 7 in that group, 4 in that group, 2 in that group, and 1 in our last group. And this gives us a total of 40 data values. So when we add up all of those frequencies, there are a total of 40 data points that we just organized in there. Okay. Now, in order to find the mean of these data points, we now have to find the midpoint of each class. Okay? So the midpoint of each class, we're going to take the endpoints. So 10 plus 19 and divide that by 2. And that's going to give us a midpoint of 14.5. Okay? Do it with the next one. 20 plus 29 divided by 2. And that's going to give us 24 and a half. And keep doing that with each class until we have all of the midpoints written down. Okay. Now, you are going to take the product of the frequency. This is why I have F and M here. The frequency and the midpoint. And that goes here. Okay. So this is going to be 8 times 24.5. Okay. And so on, all the way down the line. This would be 12 times 34.5. And 7 times 44.5. And 4 times 54.5. And 2 times 64.5. And 1 times 74.5. And we also add all of these up. Okay. Now, if you recall, all right, let's see. We'll do this. Mean is the sum of the data divided by the number of data. Okay. Well, we just got the sum of the data to be 1,430, and the number of data is 40. So we can put into our calculators 1,430 divided by 40, and that would give us a mean of 35.8 as the mean of this data set. I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode, and a little bit about frequency distributions. So I just want to remind you that when it comes to mean, median, and mode, the median is in the middle, the mode is the most, and the mean is just a very mean set of operations that we have to do. So mean to make us do all this math.